Family, is living together before marriage a good idea?
We must face the moment of truth, baby.
Come on, let's talk about it here at 180 Truth. Family, welcome back to 180 Truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Is living together before marriage a good idea? And what should you do if you're a Christian couple, you're a Christian, and you're already living together? I'm going to talk about that at the end, so listen in, and I want to unpack this a little bit, praying that you will be blessed as a result. So is living together before marriage a good idea? Our society, for the most part, well, we say yes. But the stats in the scriptures say otherwise. If cohabitation really helped couples prepare for marriage, why do studies show that couples who live together before marriage are more likely to divorce? What if this trial run is actually setting us up for failure? So I want to unpack this, why cohabitation isn't the preparation you think it is, and how to really build a relationship that lasts. So first, why do people live together before marriage? Most couples don't move in together with bad intentions. The reality is that they think it's a smart decision, like a test driving a car before buying it. Others, and that's the thing for the modern world, a lot of them, it's just, listen, we love each other, so this is the first step. I love you, so let's really commit to this. This is the way that they want to commit. At least that's what one person says, and the other person says. Whether they both agree that that's actually happening, well, that's another story. But the reality is that a lot of folks have been told marriage is risky, marriage is not worth it, so they want to try it out first. Other folks don't want the government in their relationship. They're like, why should we have the government involved? Others say, hey, you know what? You don't need a ring. You don't need to go to the altar for me to be committed to you. Probably the biggest reason is that folks move in together out of pure convenience. They split the rent. Then it means more time together, and they avoid the commuting. Again, that's practical. Here's the problem. Marriage is not the product of a test. It is the product of commitment. Marriage is built on a covenant. A covenant is when two people give a promise of giving 100% from each other always, no matter what. And treating it like a trial run actually hurts the foundation of the relationship. And here's the thing, there are statistics. Cohabitation hurts. It doesn't help. Let's talk numbers. What numbers? Well, guess what? If cohabiting before marriage really helped, we'd expect couples who would actually have stronger marriages, but the research shows the opposite. Cohabiting couples have a 33% higher divorce rate than those who didn't live together before marriage. Those who cohabit before engagement are even more likely to split than those who wait until engagement or marriage. Couples who live together before marriage report lower levels of relationship satisfaction and higher levels of conflict. Women in cohabiting relationships are more likely to experience depression than married women. Infidelity, being unfaithful, is more common in cohabiting relationships than in marriage. Why? Because cohabitation creates a pattern of keeping your options open instead of full commitment. It teaches people to stay in relationships based on convenience rather than covenant. Okay, so what does the Bible say? God's design for relationships is different. Hebrews 13:4 says, let marriage be held in honor among all, and let the marriage bed be undefiled. That means that sex is meant to be part of a lifelong commitment, not a temporary arrangement, but our society has rewritten the sexual script that God gave us. I want to talk about just that verse there, let marriage be held in honor among all, because there are a lot of church environments, a lot of people who claim to be Christian who don't honor marriage. You're actually encouraging children and your grandkids to get their career in order, to be almost afraid of marriage if they don't have a security blanket, if they don't have something to fall back on. We teach our kids that they should be afraid as opposed to going into marriage by faith and vision and with the covering and the support of a healthy, life-giving community. We actually undermine people getting married before they even get into a relationship. If the word of God says that marriage is meant to be held in high honor, then it doesn't matter if the rent's too high. It doesn't matter if it's hard to buy a home. Then we should always hold marriage in high honor. But instead, we ourselves, Christians, disparage it and spit on it and discourage it because we ourselves were not satisfied with God. We're not satisfied with our spouses, and we ourselves are living miserable half Christian lives. So instead of sex being the seal of a lifelong bond, it's been reduced to something casual. And physical intimacy, sex before outside of marriage, doesn't just affect the body, it affects the mind and the spirit too. Studies show that, again, sex affects the brain. It releases chemicals like oxytocin and dopamine, which bond people emotionally. Family, there is science on this. We talk about, some people keep saying trust the science, but then they ignore science like this, that it's obvious. And when that bond forms outside of commitment, it distorts judgment. This is why so many cohabiting couples stay in unhealthy relationships longer than they should. It's not just finances, but because they've already bonded emotionally and physically in ways that cloud their ability to evaluate the relationship clearly. Cohabitation affects men and women differently. Cohabitation doesn't impact men and women the same. In most cases, men benefit from cohabitation while women pay a greater price. Men in cohabiting relationships are less likely to commit because they feel they already have the benefits of marriage without the responsibility. Women, on the other hand, often expect cohabitation to lead to marriage, only to realize later that the man is not as committed as they were wishing he was. Cohabiting women are more likely to feel anxious about the future of the relationship, while cohabiting men are more likely to delay marriage or avoid it altogether. Again, the old saying, there's no point in buying the cow if I'm getting the milk for free. It's time to ask the hard question. If you're living together, is your relationship truly moving toward lifelong commitment, or is it just convenient? And this is going to be a discipleship challenge for the church for years to come, because we have to ask ourselves, how do I disciple young Christians who have already made this decision? Because the reality is this, I don't put pressure or rush people to the altar. Marriage is a calling, and just because a couple is cohabiting, that doesn't mean they should be married. No, that's the last thing you want to do, just to cover up their shame or for you to feel less ashamed, or because you feel surprised at what they did and now you're wondering about their guilt, or you're maybe confused about their salvation. No, you never want to rush people into marriage. Marriage is a calling. And just because people are living together, it doesn't mean they're called to be married, whether or not they are Christians. Maybe you're already living with your boyfriend, girlfriend, and you're thinking, okay, so what? Now what? What am I supposed to do? Well, here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to guilt you or shame you, because that's not going to help. Instead, here's what I encourage you to do. First, pray and seek God's will. Ask Him, is this relationship honoring you? Have I been honoring myself? Am I building on the right foundation? Is this really the right person for my future? If it's clear that you need to exit, don't be so proud. And don't let the enemy trick you with guilt and shame and what other people are going to think. Save yourself from lifelong disaster and get out. Go back to your parents, go move in with a friend, do whatever it takes, but exit stage left. Is it going to cost them too? Are they going to have to go back to their parent? Are they going to have to go move in with some friends? Yeah, but at least you stop extracting from each other and robbing each other of a glorious future with someone else, or simply by yourself. Have an honest conversation with your partner. Is marriage your goal? Ask, are we truly ready to prepare for marriage, or are we just delaying commitment? Take bold steps toward honoring God. For some of us, that again is going to mean getting engaged and setting a wedding date. For others, it may mean moving apart for a season to rebuild a relationship on the right foundation. Either way, trust that obeying God is worth it. If you've been wrestling with this, I want to remind you, God's design isn't about taking away your fun. It's about protecting your future. The statistics show that cohabitation doesn't make marriage stronger, but God's plan does. So the question is this: do you trust him enough to follow him?
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Family, if you please, I'm going to ask you to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm going to share with you that the reality is that trusting God is always worth it, and going against the grain of the culture of the society is worth it. God bless you, family. Thank you for being here at 180 Truth, and let's seek the face of God together and live in the light of his truth. God bless.